Hi, everyone. Tony from Hack the Movies here. And today we're talking about Mission Impossible 3. Did J.J. Abrams save Mission Impossible? Let's find out today on Hack the Movies. Hello, Angela.
Hey, Tony.
I got into another fight.
Again?
Yes. I've since been radicalized since the last episode. I've been watching a lot of Andrew Tate. And this time I saw someone not disrespecting women enough.
Oh.
And I went to fight them. Mm-hmm. And again, 30 of it more than last time. What was the number I said last time? Whatever
15.
It was, double it.
Gotcha.
All those guys came out and they were beating me up. And they managed to get one hit on my nose again. The same spot on my nose. And luckily I had the same pack of Band-Aids that are very manly.
The manly Batman Band-Aids?
Yes. And I put them on my nose, and it's definitely not because we're filming this the same day when my skin is all breaking out. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Mission Impossible 3.
So this is still at a part where it is just Mission Impossible 3.
They're still numbering them here.
That's like the full title stop.
Yes.
Okay.
After this is when they throw the subtitles on.
Gotcha.
At some point, I don't know what it is like, but like after 3, they start to get embarrassed and they're like,
Well, I was doing all my research, looking this up, and in some, like, IMDb says Mission, Impossible, I, right?
Yes.
Tried to look it up on IMDb. No, on Paramount to watch it. Mm-hmm. No. It's Mission Impossible 3, number 3.
Number 3, really?
Yeah, and I couldn't find it the way I was typing it in from IMDb.
That's like a streaming thing, I think.
It is
funny, though.
Answer?
It is funny that they don't number them when they're coming out. And then when they end up on like streaming platforms or even DVD packs, they will slap numbers on them so you know which one it is.
How to watch them in order.
Because which one, it's either out yet or it's coming out. But we did The Final Destination, which is part 4. But when you get the new DVD pack, it just says 4 on it, even though that's not really the title. Yeah. They don't want to confuse people. Like, wait, didn't I just watch
Final Destination? Yeah.
But yeah, this is when they're still numbering them. But yes, Mission Impossible 3 originally supposed to be directed by David Fincher.
I saw that. What a wild movie that would have been.
Don't get excited. David Fincher has been tied to so many like big franchises, I think. Oh, what did they say they wanted him to do Spider-Man at one point?
I just don't understand who thought that would be a good idea, though. Like, who was like, yes, he'd be great for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, maybe me, because I am a fan of one third movie David Fincher did. I'm on record praising it. However, at this point, the good version of that movie had only been on DVD for like 2 years. So most people remembered the bad version of Alien 3. We reviewed both Alien 3s. Yeah, but I feel like since then, I feel like I've seen his name attached to like, I think he was supposed to do like a Batman. He's always getting like attached to big franchise things, but then he doesn't make them.
I like a lot of his films, but they never feel like big franchise films. Like, I just don't understand how they thought that was going to like
I'm trying to think. The only
mesh.
He did Alien 3 as a sequel, but like the only thing he's ever like rebooted, I think, was House of Cards, because people forget that was a British show.
Yeah.
Yes, and then he rebooted as the Netflix show.
Because that was when Netflix was like, what if we use an algorithm?
Yes.
And we see that people who like these 3 unrelated things, what if we bring them all together? And then that's how House of Cards started.
And it worked out. It was getting a little bit bad toward the end, but I was still on board. And then why did they do the last season? I still to this day.
They should have just cut their losses and run. Like,
that is one of the biggest mysteries. I'm just like, well, no, I get why you can't use them, like, because all this stuff is going on. But like, what made you think you could do a show without the character? That doesn't make any sense.
It should have just, the show was, there's been many shows that end, on cliffhangers because they get canceled and weren't expecting it. Just end it. Just call it a day.
Anyway, David Fincher didn't do it.
Didn't do this movie, so all of that was nonsensical for you to watch.
Yeah. And then they got Joe Carnahan. What did he do?
I looked it up.
Oh. No, go.
Smoking Aces.
Smoking Aces. I wasn't a big fan.
And the A-Team.
I wasn't a big fan of either of those.
They're very forgettable to me.
Did he do The Gray with Liam Neeson?
He might have.
That was good. I really liked that movie. So he would have been fine, I guess. But yeah, both those directors dropped out Cruise apparently was a fan of Alias, which J.J. Abrams was the creator of and probably showrunner, which I've never actually watched.
You know, that was like a show that my dad liked.
I feel like that would have been a show that you would have liked.
I think I was like, it was in that time where like my dad was like, oh, your mom's asleep. You can watch this. And my mom's like, don't you let her watch that. It was like that time of my life. And I somehow missed it.
Maybe you were watching Veronica Mars at the time.
I did like Veronica
Mars.
Oh,
I fucking called it. I was just what's like the teen version of this that at that time? Like, yep, Veronica Mars. There you go.
Good.
Yeah, apparently he was a fan of him. So he wanted J.J. Abrams, and that delayed the movie because, you know, he was still working on that show and he was more involved with Lost at that time.
Yes. Well, that was his show, right? Lost was his.
Yes.
So.
And I think at that time he was like either show running or still really hands-on. So they had to wait until he could finish doing whatever he was doing. So he had time to direct Mission Impossible 3.
This didn't come out to 2006, which is 6 years after Mission Impossible 2.
And again, Mission Impossible 2, highest grossing film of that year. You think they would have pumped out another one at least.
They tried.
Yeah, they tried.
And then it got delayed. So.
And because it got delayed, Kenneth Branagh, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Scarlett Johansson were not able to be in the film. I don't know who they would have played, if it even was like the characters we end up seeing in this.
Yeah.
But they were attached to a 3, and they ended up not being in it. J.J. Abrams offered a former cast member from the show. Is that in your notes?
No.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I'm scared.
He offered Martin Landau an opportunity to reprise his role of, what was it, Roland Hand.
Yes.
From the TV show. Martin Landau was like the master of disguise.
Yes, he was.
Him and Leonard Nimoy, I think, were both master of disguises in that one. Yeah, Martin Landau turned it down.
He was married to Cinnamon in real life.
Yes. Who we also talked about in our Ed Wood review.
Exactly, because he plays
Bela Lugosi. But yes, he turned it down, disliking the direction the franchise was going and wanting a larger role. Which one do you think it really was? Wanting the larger role or disliking the franchise?
It's Martin Landau. I mean, it was like, it was past his heyday, but at the same time, he was like, kind of a big deal to be like given like a. I can see why you'd be like, that's a rinky
because he's an Oscar winner at this point, so it makes sense. It's a cameo, it's a connection to the older one, and he's a big actor. Honestly, it could have worked because at this point, we'll get to it, but like Ethan is at this point in the film just training.
Yeah.
So it would have been fun if you had a disguise master, like a former disguise master at IMF. But yeah, no, he turned it down. Again, I think they really pissed off all the older people with the Peter Graves.
Yeah, I think they were probably scared of how they were gonna.
And it's written by Orsi and Kurtzman, who would also write Star Trek with J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yes.
Which, look, I really like that first one. Not as much as my friend Tab. He loves it. He loves Star Trek 09. He's a big fan of Star Trek 09. I don't think you ever met Tab.
I don't think so.
He's one of my podcasts. He's the one with like no muscles.
Gotcha.
He's that one. He has no muscles. He will never know what a gain is a day in his life. And he doesn't make fun of me on Discord showing that his muscles are better than mine because he has no muscles.
But you're saying like the one thing I should know about him though is that he loves
Star Trek 09 and he has no muscles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Kurtzman and Orsi, they wrote that, and I have it here. They've mostly been writing great stuff. That is what I said in that original recording. Yep, I had nothing but positive things to say about the late Robert Orsi and his body of work. I definitely didn't say anything negative, and I'm definitely not recording this because I found out after we finished shooting that they had announced that he died, and I'm definitely not doing this to save face. No, I just really love his work and everything he did after Mission Impossible 3 and Star Trek 09, and it's just, it's really great, and, yeah, back to the episode.
I found a quote about a review for this movie, and it just really summed it up for me. You may be mildly entertained, but damned if you'll remember this 5 minutes later.
That is a good quote.
That's how I feel about this movie.
There's something about this movie where, like, it's technically good. Like, in the moment, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. But out of all of them, it's the one where I'm like, what happened in that one again?
Right? Yeah.
What is it about it that it kind of loses your attention afterwards. I don't understand what it is.
I don't know.
Because I was watching it again today and I was fully
Right.
engaged, but this is the one, I mean, other than the newer ones, just because I'm busy, I don't have as much time, but like even like growing up, like when I was a teen and everything, like I watched it the least.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it in theaters, unfortunately. My girlfriend at the time did, and she bought me the DVD.
Oh,
And she was hyping it up. Huh?
Thoughtful of her.
It was very thoughtful. Yeah, so I finally watched this like on Christmas or something.
Nice.
And you watched it for the first time when we did our commentary track on Patreon.
You can watch my like very live, very authentic reactions to this movie.
I'll bring up your one reaction, this one part of it. I was watching the little promo I made and it was cracking me up. You cracked me up with the one part.
That's my job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Kurtzman and Orsi, this is when people still liked him. This is when people still like J.J. Abrams before he rehashed Star Wars and then came back and made the worst Star Wars movie. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Now, like when their names are attached to things, I just go, because this is when the mystery box hadn't pissed anyone off yet.
Yes.
He loves his mystery boxes,
Yes.
but then later on, the mystery box stuff, we're like, no, stop doing this. Just stop doing
I
this.
saw like a great documentary about showrunners and he's in it. They just interview a bunch of showrunners and he's telling the story of like, he's like, you know, Lost is finale's coming out around the same time as the Sopranos finale was coming out. And he sees the Sopranos comes out first. He watches it. He loves it. He's like, best finale of a show ever.
Yeah.
And then he hears everyone say they hate this finale. And he goes, oh no, it's too late. I just thought it was an interesting little commentary.
They try to explain Lost at the end. I didn't hate Lost. I loved Lost, but the last season it stumbles a little bit. It mostly works. I don't really care. People really liked this when it came out. I remember people saying, "Oh, it's good again. It saved Mission Impossible."
It has much better reviews.
Yes, but again, not as much of like a cultural stamp for some reason.
No.
But yeah, let's get into this film and figure out maybe it'll come to us why it doesn't stick with us.
Yeah.
It opens up with the late Philip Seymour Hoffman.
No.
I was in Rochester this summer for DabbleCon 2.
Yes.
And I know what you're thinking, why the hell did you go to Rochester? And I could ask, why does Kaylee live in Rochester? We can't answer these questions. But at the Kodak Museum, they have a statue of Philip Seymour Hoffman. So I have my picture with Philip Seymour Hoffman statue. So he was hot at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had been acting for a long time, but that was like, I forget what he did before this.
Is it Talented Mr. Ripley or?
I don't know if it was that.
There's another one. There was something somewhat before this, that like right before this, right?
Yeah. Because he was playing like smaller parts in films. But yeah, I forget. I have to look up what it was. Was it Capote?
Oh, maybe?
Maybe it was Capote. Maybe that's the one that really blew him up.
Yeah.
But like he was like, they were making him like an A-lister at this point.
Yes.
So yeah, it's him threatening a woman who we've never met before.
Nope.
In front of Ethan Hunt. And he's telling him that he has an explosive in his head. And he's like, you need to give me the rabbit's foot or this woman will die. And Ethan Hunt's like, I gave you the rabbit's foot. Didn't I give it to you? He's like, where is it? And he's like, I'm going to kill her. And he's counting down.
Yeah.
This scene I remember the most because it was used in a lot of the trailers.
Yes.
They parodied it at the MTV Movie Awards that year. Topher Grace was playing the character with the gun.
And we see it basically twice, right? So
Yeah.
that helps.
And we see, we see him start to go through the stages of grief where he's like in denial and then he's like bargaining.
Please.
Because he's counting
anything.
down.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, it's in Paris. It's in Paris. And he's like, it's not in Paris. But he like shows he's serious. He shoots her in the leg.
Yeah.
And like we see Ethan Hunt at his lowest. He has nothing he can do to stop this from happening, which is a cool way to start the movie. It's like, oh,
Right.
how the hell is he going to get out of this situation?
It's one of those classic.
Yes.
Start at the end.
Yes. So yeah, he counts down to 1 and boom, 10. Boom, gunshot. And then we get the fun opening. And I'm like, oh, it's
Right.
kind of hard to cut to the fun opening after that.
But I was really excited for the opening because it goes back to like the like original, like back to like the show version of,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We got
And who does the music on this one? I think it's the one who always does his music. Hold on.
it's not the other two we already talked about.
No, Michael Giacchino,
There you go.
who is probably, if you're going to get someone to redo a famous score, he's the guy you go to. He's done it for Star Wars, Jurassic
Yeah.
Park, Star Trek. They ended up doing for Star Trek. He uses themes from the old show. The dun, da, dun, da, da. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't in the previous ones, I
No,
think.
yeah, like you're listening, and I was like, this sound, like the scene sounds like it could
Which,
have come from the
For
the
me,
show.
who like had it at that point hadn't really watched the show, I had no idea. But like now that I've seen a lot of the show, I'm like, oh shit,
Right?
it's the
It's
score.
really nice. I liked it.
But yeah, we get the fun opening scene with the fuse. I think we see a little bit of flashes of what we're gonna see.
Yeah.
And then we flash back to Michelle Monaghan, who plays Julia.
Yes.
Michelle Monaghan from The Craft Legacy. We have an obsessed fan
Oh.
who keeps sending us copies of The Craft Legacy. to
Shout
review.
out.
Don't shout out AJ Wizzle. He gets too much attention. But yeah, we have to mention it. And don't worry, we'll mention that Maggie Q was in the remake of Fantasy Island, which is also Blumhouse. Yeah, Michelle Monaghan, which I think is the first thing I've seen her in at that time.
More recently, she was in Maxine.
Yes, she was. She was. I think she's on the new season of White Lotus.
Oh yeah, I think so
I've
too.
only seen the first season of that show.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
I just started the 3rd season.
Is the second season good?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check it out. I did enjoy the first season. Yeah, so she is Ethan Hunt's fiance.
I wrote new movie, new girl.
Yes. That really should be par for the course of awesome man spy stuff.
Right. But to be fair, it has been 6 years.
That's true.
Right. He could have had like a decent relationship with Naya.
Maybe she's just like real into stealing. And he's like, come on,
He's
I
like-
got your record expunged.
You can take the girl out of the thief, but the thief out of the girl. What do they say?
I don't know. What do they say, Angela? I feel like you'll get away with saying whatever you're about to say. I feel like I'll be criticized if I say it.
I'm gonna just be quiet.
There's a lot of things I can say about women that'll get me in trouble, but if you say it, it'll be fine.
You know what? We'll move on.
Yeah, so new girl, he's engaged to her. They're in love. They're having a party. And she has a sister played by Bellamy Young. And every time I see this actress, I feel bad for her. Because she starred in one of the worst comedies I've ever seen in my entire life. Which I also have a commentary track for on Patreon called One Too Many. Written by stuttering John Melendez from The Howard Stern Show
Oh.
and The Tonight Show with Jay Leno for 5 seconds, and then they got him off camera because he was terrible because he was only hired as a joke despite Howard Stern. He wrote one of the worst films I've ever seen. She's the main actress in it.
Oh no.
You should watch this movie.
Okay.
I don't think you'd get 10 minutes into it. I honestly think if anyone's not reviewing the movie, I think there's no one on earth who can actually sit through that whole film if they aren't actually reviewing it. It's one of the hardest movies I've ever had to watch. So whenever I see her, because she acts in a lot of things, I'm like, oh, that poor woman was in Stuttering John's movie. So she's pregnant. They're there celebrating. Bellamy, the character, she brings up dead parents for no reason.
Surprise.
She's like, when I heard you were getting married, I was like, I wish our dad wasn't dead.
Sometimes I think that's just. I mean, that's a Disney trope, right? That's like instant sympathy for a character is like dead
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
dead parents.
And then he goes, and then she goes, but then I realized that your fiance's parents are also dead. I'd be like, lady, can you fucking...
Not the time.
I'm like, what are you doing, lady? What the fuck? Are you bringing up the dead parents?
I just feel like the fact that they're engaged should be like enough of stakes of why we need to care about this woman.
Yeah. But she's like, you guys are perfect for each other, and I'm going to be an aunt. So she makes it about herself. I was like, and by the way, I'm also pregnant. It's my special day, too. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah, and then we find out Ethan's cover story is that he works for the Department of Transportation. And I love that he's super into it and has like a lot of details that he knows will purposely bore people. So they don't ask follow-up questions about his work. And one of the people he's telling this to is Greg Grunberg, who's always in J.J. Abrams stuff.
Oh.
J.J. Abrams puts him in everything. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, there he is. At this point, it hadn't gotten annoying. When he showed up in Star Wars, I'm like, okay, all right, awesome, great.
We get some like almost bartender cruise in
Yeah,
this.
he's like cocktailing a little bit.
I know how to do this. And then they're like, wait, we got to get back to the mission.
But then, like, he can't turn off his spy stuff because she's telling the story of how they met to her friends. And she forgets the name of the lake. And he's reading their lips which sets up for something later.
Yes.
And then he just comes in and he's like, it was like this. I'm like, how did he hear us from all the way over there? That's creepy.
See, I think like probably the most frustrating part about being a spy is that you're good at all these things and you have to pretend you're not.
Yeah.
Right? Because that would blow your cover if you're just like, I just happen to be really talented at reading lips and knowing geography and shooting guns and doing backflips, but like, don't worry about it. I work for the transport system.
You're talking about movie spies. I know the most frustrating thing for real life spies.
What is it?
Years ago on The Daily Show, I think it was John Oliver, when he was still funny, he went to a spy museum. And like most of the stuff in that museum was stuff that spies shoved up their ass so they didn't get caught.
Oh no.
So you said, you know what the most frustrating thing of being a spy, and all I'm thinking of is that wall of things. And I'm just like, yeah, that would be the most frustrating thing.
Oh man.
James Bond wouldn't be a swab in real life. He'd be like, hi, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just a normal guy. What's up? What's going on? Nothing's weird.
And yet again, we've come back to Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. It happened in real life. So what were we talking about? Stuff on butts. Where are we at here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he's creepishly reading lips. Also, Julia's brother is Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Very young Aaron Paul.
Little baby.
Ethan gets a call about a trip to Mexico, and he realizes, okay, I know what this is. So he throws out the ice.
I love that, like, whoosh.
Whoosh!
And he's like, no
I gotta
ice.
get ice. And she's like, what? You have to go? Yeah, it'll be just 10 minutes. So he goes all the way to the 7-Eleven.
Yep.
Product placement. And he meets Billy Crudup there, who's Musgrave. We learned that Hunt is no longer in the field. He's only training. But for some reason, Musgrave wants to give him this thing because it's related to a recruit that he trained called Ferris. And Ferris is missing. So he leaves a disposable camera for Ethan to go through the mission.
Yes.
Disposable one. They still exist, but this was like the tail end of those, I feel.
Yeah, they're
of
kind
being
of coming
everywhere.
back now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people like shooting stuff on film, but they're not as common as they were.
No, there was a time when it was everywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, he looks through it. Turns out it's a mission briefing. And I love that he's like, consider this my engagement gift to you.
Right. And again, this goes back to like the show, right?
Yeah.
Where we not only get like this mundane object that tells him the mission, but then on top of it, they are like, here is your team. Like they
what if he had shown up in a tank and shot a rocket, and in the rocket was an iPod that he put on?
Yes.
But yeah, he gets the mission. Apparently, Ferris was investigating Owen Davian, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is an arms dealer that they're always looking for. He's very, very mysterious. And she was caught. Now, usually they say if you get caught or captured, you'll be disavowed by the secretary.
Right.
But they're like, we are not disavowing her because we desperately need information on Davian and like his contacts and stuff. So we want to do a retrieval mission, which they almost rarely do. Ethan does them all the time, but what they're supposed to do is be like, well, they're dead, disavow them.
They're supposed to just, be like, they never existed. We don't know who they are.
Or the government's like, they did it on their own. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Why would they do that?
They went rogue. This is why there's so many rogue IMF agents.
There's a few movies from now where the government's like, all right, you guys really need to fix your shit because there's like a problem every other year. And then you find out that Britain has their own. I guess it's MI6. They have their own problems with rogues. There's literally one called Rogue Nation. Anyway, he doesn't want to do it, but I guess he has a strong attachment to Ferris. So he kind of caves. Oh, and this is weird. Musgrave chooses the team for him.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
But we get like the pictures. Like that's like was like the show. He got to pick his own, but he always like looked at a picture to decide.
Yes.
Does this look like the person I want to work with today?
Occasionally they would have a picture and just toss it aside.
Yeah, sometimes they're like, this guy? Nah.
I feel like those should have been like big celebrities, like Frank Sinatra.
Right, no. So I like that we kind of have this picture, like PowerPoint of all the people he needs to work with this episode.
So it's
movie.
Luther once again.
Because we love Luther.
And Declan, played by John Rhys Davies, who he was in a lot of stuff. Like around this time, maybe it was a few years after this, he ended up being in the Tudors, that show.
Yes.
He was in Velvet Goldmine, which is a movie I really like. He played Dracula on a short-lived show. He's gotten around. John Rhys Davies has been on a lot of stuff. And Zen, played by Maggie Q, who was in the remake of Fantasy Island. Are you happy, AJ Wizzle? I referenced that shit movie I still haven't seen that you sent me a copy of for some reason. He also sent me a big magazine that had it on the cover, and I don't know why.
Maybe these are important things.
I like Maggie Q. She's in a bunch of stuff, not Fantasy Island, like good stuff. She would end up being in Die Hard 4 after this.
Ooh.
He accepts the mission, and he lets his fiance know that he has to leave. He's like, oh, by the way, work called, and I gotta go for the Department of Transportation. I gotta do transportation stuff. So they head to Germany.
Yes, this film was filmed in so many locations.
Yeah, they went all over.
3, 4, 5.
Because the last one was mostly Australia.
Yeah, that was boring. I mean, they needed those cliffs. So this one, I had like actual filming in Shanghai, Berlin, Rome, Vatican City, and LA, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's a good list of places to
good.
go.
A lot of movies, it's funny because now movies are just mostly in front of screens. So we're kind of losing out on that. Guess it's more cost effective. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you don't get that like tax deductible vacation.
Yeah, that's what you're missing out on. So yeah, they get to Germany, and you said the last one had too much setup and it was too slow. This one, they're like, all right, we're there.
Welcome back, brother.
We're already in Germany. We already have a plan. Luther is setting up like gun turrets, like remote control turrets.
They're whew.
That have X-ray heat vision. They all have predator vision. He's able to see through the walls.
This one was like not a quiet.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, in my head when you're trying to like do an extraction, isn't that like a sneaky, quiet type of?
Well, Ethan's being sneaky and quiet. Luther's just pulling up to the place. It's like
guns ablazing.
They have the chick underground, drilling into the power lines, and then Declan's standing by on a helicopter, which he's upset about. He's like, I'm always copying. But yeah, Ethan is walking around, and Luther, for some reason, over the radio, I'd be like, you don't know if those comms can be hacked or not.
Right?
He's like, so you're getting married? You're getting married, Ethan? And he's letting him know. That's like Luther's story arc for this, is to let Ethan know that you can't have a regular relationship. You got to not even try.
I mean, it didn't work well for him in the last film.
It didn't. Actually, that had more of a chance to work well because she was also in a shady line of business.
This one, his fiance doesn't know anything about it.
She's just a nurse, and she's just a nurse. So it's like, you don't want to do that. While they're looking around, he finds Ferris. She's like all beaten up. She's being tortured by Eddie Marzin's character, Brownway, I think is his name. Weasley-looking British guy. He shows up in a lot of movies. Declan, like I said, is standing by with the helicopter. Ethan sets off the bombs. And then
bombs?
Yes. But like more well-placed bombs.
Yes. I just feel like they're not sneaky.
I think it's to surprise them. It's not even really
a distraction.
I mean, he ends up killing them, but it's to catch them by surprise more so than to blow everything up.
Yeah.
And what's-her-face cuts the power to the building. And then Luther, with his night vision guns, he's just having fun shooting everyone through the windows. So yeah, he grabs Ferris, but then she begs him. He's like, turn off your transmitter. I have to tell you something important.
Yeah.
But before she could do that, people come in and shoot. And then we get, I like this movie, but this part's dumb, where he throws the gun to her, the slow motion CGI gun. She's like, yeah. Now I'm a badass. So they get into like a cool gunfight. Oh, I like how he has one round left. Or she's like, how much do you have? He's like, enough. And he just gets one shot off and knocks the guy out the window. He's like, all right, now I'm out. Okay, so then they jump out of the building, and then it blows up.
And then it blows up.
Onto the van. They jump out the window onto a van. You know, the van cushioned their fall, Angela.
Well, of course.
Of course.
That's how that works.
And then they get picked up by the helicopter. Declan picks them up with the helicopter, and then another helicopter comes after them. And while this is happening, Ferris's head starts hurting. So they have like an intense thing now. They're being chased by a helicopter. They got to figure out what her head is. What's up with her head?
Yeah.
And then what's his face? Declan gets the great decision to fly through a wind farm, the solar wind farm.
Yes.
Or what are those? Yeah, wind.
Yeah, like a wind. Yeah, with the
not solar, but yeah, the wind
The wind
turbine.
farm, yeah.
Apparently those things suck.
yeah, they're like
Apparently they're not very effective. They break all the time. And they're actually like
Yeah.
really bad for the environment. People are now learning years later. It's like, we really should just use
how it
nuclear power. It
goes.
really was a lot cleaner. I like the video of the one that's just on fire and it's just making giant rings in the
that's
sky.
how I want my energy to come from.
Look, I know nuclear power has some problems, the waste, meltdowns, but for the most part, it's a lot
But
better.
besides those things,
Yeah, a few meltdowns once in a while.
Pitch blash.
What's the worst that could happen? So they realize there's a bomb in her head.
Yes,
So they have to shock her dead and bring her back to life.
I am so confused about this defibrillator situation.
Well, I think it's because like the shock will like
turn off
turn
the bomb?
off the charge, but it will also like stop her heart. So they need
So
to
it like short circuits the bomb, but not in a way that blows up the bomb. Right?
Yes.
Like you can't just go up to like, here's a homemade bomb. Here's 2 paddles.
Yeah.
Zap.
They
I would not.
There's
do
a
that.
similar thing like this in Escape from New York. They tell Snake Plissken that the bombs that are in his neck, just like these little bombs that blow up, they can defuse them with X-rays before they go off. So they're basically doing that. There's like a
Okay.
plant and there's a way to short it. But I guess the way to short it will also stop you and like kill you. So you have to
Yeah,
be
because you
revived.
can't. That's why you say clear
Yeah.
when you go to like start someone's heart again. Because if someone's touching them,
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of ER.
I remember ER.
I know I'm a doctor.
You're a doctor now. You're basically a doctor. So yeah, they have to charge
Yes.
the defibrillator while they're doing it. I always struggle with that word.
Good thing they have one in that helicopter though.
Yeah, they just happen to have one. So yeah, they were able to dodge the missiles.
Mm-hmm.
They almost kill a bunch of sheep. One big like turbine like falls and almost hits a sheep. And I love how like he does that last minute thing through the turbines and the other
Yes.
helicopter just gets sliced in
Squash.
half. That was pretty cool. That's a whole exciting
That's
sequence.
fun.
But they finally charge the thing, but not in time. Her head blows up. But like it's kind of gross because her eyes get all wonky and like her skull's kind of like
Well, you're
fractured.
also like scared of eyes, so
Yeah, but this is a different fear.
This one
This
doesn't-
isn't so much a eye injury. It's just like, oh yeah, her insides blew up, and now her like skull is all out of whack. Like they, and by the way, it's a PG-13 movie, and they like cut to her constantly, like, all wonky eyes. Like
See,
her
that's the
cheek-
difference between a 2000 PG-13 movie and a 2006 PG-13 movie.
They did do something. One of the new Marvel movies. It's Multiverse of Madness. It's not great, but there is a moment where there's a superhero in like one of the other realities, and his power is like if he says anything, it sends out a shockwave, and then the witch covers up his mouth, and then he panics and he shockwaves his own brain. But you see, like it's Sam
Oh.
Raimi who directed it.
Okay.
He's very neutered because it's modern MCU, but he got
Yeah.
like a little creepy stuff in there, and you see his skull like pop up and then deflate. I'm like, ah, it was
Whoa,
cool.
that's
Just look
cool.
up. Don't watch the whole movie. Just look up that
I
scene.
will
It's
watch
really
that
cool.
scene.
But this reminds me of an early version. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, an explosion just went off their head. Now their skull is just all fucked up.
Just like, mm-mm.
Oh, rest in peace. We didn't mention it's Carrie Russell
Oh yeah.
because I think J.J. Abrams did. What was it? Felicity? Was that the show that was popular at the
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Yeah. I never watched Felicity.
I didn't either.
I like
I
Carrie
just
Russell
know
though.
of it.
Carrie Russell's fine.
Yeah.
He also threw her into the last Star Wars movie. She doesn't
Oh.
even show her face in it.
Rude.
Probably because she didn't have to be on set the whole time. She probably just sat in a recording booth and did it.
Yep. That's how movies are made nowadays, guys.
She was really good in Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear was
Oh
fun.
yes, that was a fun movie.
Yeah. So she's dead. They're very depressed about
They're
this.
sad. Their mission failed.
Yes. He comes back and he's sad, but he can't really make up a lie to his fiance about the Department of Transportation.
I feel like there's plenty of things that go wrong with the Department of Transportation to be sad about.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of accidents and stuff, but I don't know
Right.
if they involve actual people. Like, it's weird work related. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like you could be like, train went off the rail and my best friend was involved, so I'm gonna be sad for a little
Instead,
bit.
he's just like, I don't have a cover for this. We're just not going to talk tonight. Good night. Okay, so Lawrence Fishburne is, I guess, replacing Anthony Hopkins. They get like a new director every movie.
That's because the directors are shady.
Yeah, they are
They're never
shady.
like definitely the good guy.
They definitely looked into Anthony Hopkins with that last one. They
Right?
were like, he's no good. Also, what's he saying about women sleeping around? Oh, we gotta fire him.
That and trying
Just
to
send a
steal my-
lady. They like to lie. Okay, we gotta fire. We're getting a lot of complaints.
All right.
Does IMF have an HR? What is it being human resources for the impossible mission force?
Right? When everyone is disemboweled, like, isn't that just already
They're like someone else for the millionth time. Someone wore a mask of someone's boyfriend. I can't do this anymore. How many times are they gonna fall for this? Anyway, he is Brazel, Mr. Brazel.
Oh yeah.
He chews them out for their mission. He's like, well, an agent came back dead, and they're
not
like
successful.
And Musgrave is there, or Musgrave. And he's like, well, we retrieved 2 laptops. He's like, yeah, which were totally incinerated, basically. They'll be lucky if they can pull anything off of it. So he's like cracking down on them.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys fucked up royal. He's like, now I gotta go tell this girl's parents that she got into a car accident that no one saw or witnessed. And Brazel like hates Davian. Apparently, he's saying that he's like, since day one on this job, he's been trying to take down Davian. And then Ethan flashes back to training her. Because in this movie, he's just, this is like the best person he ever met. And I loved your reaction in the commentary. We're like, we've never met this woman before. It's the movie makes it seem like we've known her the whole time.
Yes,
but I guess
right?
if he's only been training for a few years, it could have been a
Okay.
relatively new thing. What gets funny is that like all the movies after this, he never brings up this girl ever
No,
again.
she is like the end all be all.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a good friendship in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I get annoyed when like everyone has to like start making out with each other. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so I love this idea that they're friends.
Yeah.
And like not a romantic idea, but also like we see her for 2 seconds. He's so like it is like wrecks him, and then the end.
Yeah. Yeah, never gets brought up again.
She's not a problem
ever.
anymore.
But we learned that this was the first recruit he ever recommended for active duty.
So it's like his fault that she died.
I mean, it's not his fault, but like he feels a personal
Well,
responsibility.
wait, it absolutely is because he was in charge of this mission. Not only did she get captured.
Well, not the initial mission where she got captured.
No, but he was in charge of the rescue mission, and he
was,
did not
but
rescue her.
We learned that there were a lot of things he was not prepared for because there's a lot of shady stuff going on. So it's really not his fault. He gave her the training. It's just the problem is the caller was coming from inside the house in this case. So he didn't really prepare. Although him of all people should have been like, and by the way, your mentor might betray you at some point.
I swear, every movie is someone he's worked with betraying him, and so it's just like if she didn't betray him, it was someone's going to betray her. Like
I think they stop it after this. He still gets betrayed and disavowed, but it's not from within IMF anymore, I think. I don't know. I have to rewatch a couple of them. So yeah, he's all on. He wants to avenge her death. He's ready to get back in the field and do that. Hunt gets a call at the funeral.
Yes.
That Ferris left a message for him in a P.O. box. He goes, he finds it, but it's a blank microdot. And I like Luther going, it's blank. And he's like, well, check again. He's like, there's not really a lot I can check. It's literally microscopic. I mean, I'm seeing it. So they don't know what the blank microdot is about.
yes,
And I like that Luther, he sees how distraught he is. And he remembers how upset he was with Naya, I guess. He's like, were you two involved? And he's like, she was like a little sister to me. And then he goes, you never slept with your little sister, right? And I like Ethan like pausing, looking over her. And he's like, I had to ask.
I mean that's fair though, unfortunately, because that is currently a theme in a lot of media.
Oh, yeah. What specific media? What specific media? What are the websites that you go to for this media?
I'm thinking Game of Thrones.
Oh. Oh, is Game of Thrones why it's so popular? There's a certain subgenre that's gotten real popular the last 10 years. And it's like, come on, guys. I'm like, who keeps searching these? Stop.
But,
Anyway.
it keeps coming up in like TV and movies, and I don't like it.
What other movies? Like I heard about
Okay.
Game of Thrones, but
I don't know because I've watched one episode of season 3 of White Lotus, but there's real weird incest vibes. Where like the older brother and the older sister are both fighting over the younger brother. Yeah, don't like it. The rest of the show so far is great, but
So Hollywood and porn are having the same problem. Like,
they are, yes, it's making me upset.
Can you
So
chill with it? Anyway.
So yes, I'm glad we clarified.
Yes.
This is definitely not romantic. We can all have
Yes.
friends. It's fine.
Yes. They meet with Benji, played by Simon Pegg.
Yes.
Who we-
Yeah.
Who I think we joked, it was either the commentary track or our Shaun of the Dead review, where he had a quote when he said, "It's not like I'm going to be in Mission Impossible 3." And he ended up being in
then he
Mission
was.
Impossible 3. Apparently, there was a rumor for years that Ricky Gervais was supposed to play this.
Really?
And he had to leave the movie and Simon Pegg replaced him. But they've since come out and said that he was playing Gervais was playing a completely different character.
Okay.
I don't know if they said which one. Like, he still was supposed to be in it and didn't get to be in it, but
Yeah.
Simon Pegg didn't replace him. This was like a character meant for him.
Separate, yeah.
He's a small part in this movie, but he was so beloved, he became a big part of this franchise.
I'm so excited to see more of Simon
and
Pegg.
J.J. Abrams made him Scotty in his Star Trek reboot.
Oh, that's right.
And Simon Pegg ended up writing the 3rd movie in that series.
Nice.
But yeah, he's a really great character. He managed to get some info from the laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And he finds out that Davian is going to the Vatican to meet about something called the Rabbit's Foot.
Yes.
And Benji is like, it's cost like $800 million or whatever. Whenever I see anything like this, I think of my old professor who was fat. He brings that up. He's like, he talked about this technology that would destroy everything. And I always think it's this. He's like, or maybe it's not. I don't know. He like does this whole like world ending philosophy thing. And then he's like, or maybe it's something else.
That feels very J.J.
Yes.
Abrams though, right?
So we got to find the Rabbit's Foot. I'll talk about the Rabbit's Foot later. Hunt tells Benji, he's like, hey, don't tell Musgrave about this operation. Because he knows Musgrave is being like cracked down on.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want him to have plausible deniability if we go in and everything fucks up, that he wasn't involved. So he's like, we're going to go, don't tell anyone.
Right.
Then he meets up with Julia and he tells her he has to leave again, but he can't tell her why. And she's probably like, what is up at the Department of Transportation?
So secretive.
A bridge collapsed and there's someone stuck under a tunnel and I have to leave and not call you at all.
No. We've got cell phones at this point. Yeah, 2006.
I'll be in a tunnel where
There
people
you
are
go.
stuck and there's no signal down there
know.
and I'll be down there all week and you won't hear about it on the news. That's what
They faked the other news story. They could fake this one.
So he feels bad about it. She thinks he doesn't want to get married, but he
Right.
does. So to prove it, they get married at the hospital.
They get
then and
right there in the hospital.
They have like little children's rings,
Yes.
like cartoony character rings, and then they fuck in a closet.
You got to consummate that marriage,
I guess you
or
do.
you could get it annulled.
I guess so.
This is
I learned that from
Catholicism 101.
I learned that from Arrested Development.
Oh, really?
Where Job doesn't consummate his marriage, and then he does right before the divorce.
No, see, then it's like you never got married. It didn't happen.
So they have a team meeting
Mm-hmm.
about how they're going to break into the Vatican, and they're like, the Vatican is so hard to break into. It's got all these walls and all the security camera and this.
The great outfits.
Yes. So they come up with a plan. They're delivery men or whatever that company is.
Yes,
Definitely
yes.
product placement. But yeah, they come out and they do some offensive Italian stereotypes. They're like, pasta, mangia, blah, 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 pizza, Very, very Italian.
Yes.
Not authentic like me. So yeah, they set up a whole thing to distract people. He leaves. He climbs up the wall.
Yes.
They're using
yes,
fun.
he
They're using
does.
fun gadgets in this.
They do, which
2
I
didn't really
appreciate.
have fun gadgets.
No, I think that goes back to that idea of that, like, 2 was like, we're macho action men.
Yeah.
So we just use our fists, right?
Yeah.
But, like, the original show has these gadgets in it.
Yeah, 2 is just like the glasses, and then even like the camera. Like there wasn't,
Nothing was cool.
and like, oh, my computer's really good at hacking satellites. Yeah, it's not that Mission Impossible needs to be like a James Bond level with gadgets.
no, but
Yeah, I'm glad we're seeing they're more practical. But yeah, they make sense.
it's like
in
they
this.
have some of that kind of. I just feel
Yeah.
like the show always had some weird. That was always part of the beginning of the show. Was like, look at this gadget we're gonna use later.
Yeah.
You know.
which they did in the first movie. He was like, look at this exploding gum that we
Right,
have.
exactly.
So yeah, he runs up the wall. Yes. He prints out a picture of the camera's point of view and like tapes it in front of the camera. Speaking of cartoony gadgets, the next one has the cartoony gadgets. Like they're ridiculous to the point where like that doesn't exist.
Oh man. But these masks exist. I just feel like I'm still stuck on this idea that they can get someone's face so perfect that
it doesn't make any sense.
Ever like met this person before. It's just like based off of a picture. They're like, we got you.
Yep, it makes no sense.
All the rest of the technology in this world, I accept if I accept the masks.
Yeah, and then they had to do it. He rolls off the wall and does the wire, and it's like, okay. It's at least it's just not. At least they're not trying to recreate the scene. It's just a little wink. Whereas the previous movie was trying to like one up that scene, and it's like, oh, you did not one up that scene at all. So yeah, at least it was quick and done. He switches into his priest outfit.
Yep.
Declan changes into 2 more outfits. He goes from delivery guy to tourist, and then he sneaks into the Vatican, and he switches into a 3rd one. And then Zen shows up looking hot as hell, driving a nice, I don't even know what the hell that car is.
Oh, I don't know cars.
But it looks nice as hell. And then we actually get to see the masks being made in real time.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we do see
it. So I like that it's like... So she's going around taking pictures, and then it's 3D
like
printing.
3D.
Before 3D printing was like well known.
Yeah. It's like this is actually a really fun scene. I feel like.
Yeah, this is great. This feels like this is what you want from the show.
That's like, I know. Feels like everything is like, oh yeah, this was a cool shot. This was a fun scene. And then at the end of the movie, you're like, eh. Like, I don't know why.
To be fair, I've watched a lot of Mission Impossible episodes that I can't remember. So maybe they got the formula a little too well. Yeah. Where I'm like, that was all right. Wasn't bad. Yeah. Didn't waste my time.
Yeah.
Works better when it's a TV show, not a multi-million-dollar movie.
That's
but,
true.
you know. So yeah, it's carving the mask, and this whole time Luther is just like, you gotta not get married, buddy. It's really not gonna work. And I like Declan is also like, yeah, trust me, it's not gonna work, buddy. Anyway, I gotta go do this thing now. So yeah, they're putting Philip Seymour Hoffman's face on him.
They're like the...
Yeah, and he's just like, don't do it. And he goes, Luther, I got married 2 days ago. And I like Luther just goes, congratulations.
It's just because Ving Rhames is just amazing.
He's great.
I mean, I just love him. So.
Zen spills red wine on Davian and his shirt. I like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. I just always spill red wine on my nice white custom shirt.
I think, he makes enough money being an arms dealer.
Yeah.
He can have just like unlimited fancy shirts. Yeah.
I mean, it's still annoying. I hate when I go out and I spill coffee on myself and I'm like, I don't have any shirts in my car.
Because you're not an arms dealer. I think that's what you're missing here.
I should leave backup shirts in my car. When I used to go out, now I work from home. I don't worry about it too much. I did have an emergency stick of deodorant in my car.
Yes, that's a good one. And then I have backup pants when I go on a shoot.
That would be smart. I should have backup clothes in the car. No, the deodorant, I felt really smart the one day. Well, I felt like an idiot the one day because I was like, wait, I forgot deodorant.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, wait, I forgot I have my trusty deodorant stick. I'm a genius. And I pull it out. Forgot that it was like 100 degrees.
Oh,
and I take the cap off and it just leaks all over me. I'm like, wait, I'm an idiot again.
That was like a roller coaster.
Yeah, like I went from feeling like an idiot to smart and then an idiot. And I'm like, well, now I'm covered in deodorant, but not where I should be. Now I have to stop somewhere and get some. Just completely melted into the thing. God damn it. Emergency deodorant in the winter and fall and maybe spring. In the summer, switch to like aerosol or something.
Yeah, like the spray.
Anyway, I would be good in IMF because I think ahead like that.
You see?
My backup mask. It's like not as good. It's got like the straps on it. I'm the senator. Oh no, kill that guy.
Little eyes cut out.
It's a cardboard thing. Did you see The Substance?
No.
Oh, you didn't see Substance?
No, is it good?
Oh, shit. Yeah, but now I can't make my joke because you didn't see it.
Sorry.
Definitely see The Substance.
Okay.
Did a review on it, too. Don't watch the review until afterwards.
Okay, watch the movie, then watch the review.
No, screw it. Don't watch the movie. Just watch my review. Don't skip any of the ads.
I never skip your ads.
Oh, thank you. No, definitely check it. Because then I can And when you do watch it, let me know, and I
I'll
will
text
tell you what the
tell-
joke was.
Perfect.
Bathroom.
Yes, he goes in the bathroom. That's it.
To clean it off, and I like that they have a security guard come and check everything.
Right.
And then he leaves, and then
know
he
why
comes
this,
up like through the toilet. There's like a thing near the toilet that he crawls out of.
Yes. There's like a moment when he first walks in that makes me think of Fight Club, like the bathroom scene of Fight Club, where I like, the guy goes in there and then like all the waiters just like grab him, and I'm like, was kind of waiting for that moment.
Oh, wait till you see Mission Impossible Fallout's bathroom scene where Henry Cavill reloads his arms.
Oh my God, I love Henry Cavill. No, that's a lie. I don't love him. I love like Geralt.
Oh, The Witcher?
No, I love him as Geralt.
Oh.
Like I don't like Henry Cavill as Superman.
Oh, no.
Don't
He's the
find
worst.
him attractive at all.
He's the worst Superman, which is a shame. He's the best casting for Superman, but
Right,
he ended up being
but,
the
like,
worst in execution.
So it's a very specific moments of my life that I find he's important.
Specifically the trailer, they added some sound effect where he goes like this, and everyone jokes that he was reloading his arms. It's like, like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Once you get to a certain age, Tony, it's just the joints they're not silent anymore.
But yeah, so he's in the bathroom.
Yes.
He confronts Davian, and Davian's like, "What the fuck? That's my face." He puts the gun up to him, and he has him read the card so they can get his voice.
His voice, so
because they don't have his voice on file. He's very mysterious.
Right. I like that they have his face on file, but not the voice.
Well, no, she.
Oh,
went
that's
and
right. She got the
pictures,
picture, and
yeah.
they can do that fast.
So yeah, he reads the lines, and then they knock him out. And I like that the guard comes in. So Declan is like holding the real Davian.
Yes.
And he's like, Ethan Hunt is now as Davian, and the guard comes in. He's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, because he's waiting for the voice to load.
Yes,
He's like, he tells him like, "Wait." He's like, "Arr." And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And, like it sounds. The first word sounds like a robot. Where he's like, "I'm fine."
What would you do in that though? I mean, like, I don't know. I think I would just accept that if I walked into the bathroom and someone was like, "I'm fine." I'm like, "Look, I want to know." Be like, you sound like you got a handle on a guy.
So yeah, he walks out and he's flirting with Zen. They're flirting in front of Davian's interpreter.
Yes.
I can't pronounce her real name because it's very Iranian, but she played Dr. Lady in Saw 3. She has a similar fate in this movie that she did in Saw 3. But it's funny, just a coincidence. I put both those episodes kind of close together, and I'm like, oh yeah, that lady showed up in both things. I don't know any other movies she's in except for Saw 3 and Mission Impossible 3.
Those are two great threes to be
They're
in.
great. So yeah, they're like flirting and stuff, and it's just like, what am I gonna do when I don't have my shirt on at your place? And they're like, okay, but like they don't really know much about Davian. It's like, is he a hornball? Do you know if he's a hornball?
I feel like he's like mysterious in this, right? Because like that's kind of part of the like they've been hunting him, and that's like
yeah. What if he was gay? What if they were like, sir, would your boyfriend think about this? And Ethan Hunt's like, wait, what? Shit. I'm caught. Everyone save me. Blow up the building. Blow up the building. Blow up the Vatican. We got to get out of here.
That really is, I feel like their go-to is just like explosions. They're like, I don't know what to do next.
So yeah, he gets in the car with her.
Yeah.
And they escape through the bottom. And I like that he's like, blow the car. And she's like, it's such a nice car. And he's like, do it. They blow it up and everyone thinks Davian's dead.
Yes.
But he's not dead. Declan is like lowering him out of a sewer pipe into a boat, and they take off with him. And I really like this scene. Musgrave comes in and he's just like, hey, Brazel, Hunt grabbed Owen Davian. And then he just goes, oh, did you have them do that? And he goes, yes, I was in charge of that. He's like, good job. He's like, thank you. That was me. So yeah, they question Davian on a plane, and he's just not giving in. Yeah. And he starts making threats. He's like, yeah, your girlfriend or something? You got this? I'm going to find them. And he's just like, what is rabbit's foot? He's like, I'm telling you shit. But then he mocks Ferris's death. Mm-hmm. If insulting women really hurts Ethan Hunt's feelings.
That is what, like, if you want to throw him off his game, like, that's what you got to do, because then he's, like, enraged.
Yeah. Is it any woman? Just if I'm being questioned by Ethan Hunt, I'm just like... I saw a lady the other day, and I said she had bad hair. He's like, I'm going to kill you.
All right, but at least this lady has been established as his like bestest friend in the world.
Yeah. So he has him like on some kind of device, and they
Oh,
lower like the
yes.
cargo thing, and it hangs the chair out.
Yes.
So he's
What?
just hanging him out the bottom of an airplane, being like, "What is the rabbit's foot? What is the rabbit's foot?" And the whole time Luther is going, "Ethan, Ethan, stop, Ethan, Ethan, don't do that, Ethan, Ethan, don't do that." So they like Ethan comes to his senses, and he's
I feel like it's a little like good cop, bad cop.
yeah. But Philip Seymour Hoffman was a really good bad guy in this.
Yeah.
But I like that he's like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about the rabbit's foot, Ethan." And he's like, "Now I know your first name. I'll
right?
figure out
Again,
everything about you."
That's what I mean. Like every episode or every movie, somehow he walks around shouting his real name.
Yeah.
Like like
It
people
just comes
always
out.
find out.
If he's in disguise, he's usually pretty good about it, but
yeah,
he's
but
not like
if he's
James
not-
Bond who like, "All right, you got to go deep undercover." He's like, "Hi, I'm James Bond." And they're like, "Wow, that's weird. I knew a guy who had a terrorist organization. I think another James Bond stopped him." Like, what is the Black Dynamite Court? There's a lot of cats with that name.
No,
James
I know.
Bond, James Bond does have an alias he uses once in a while.
What is it?
It's John St. John Smythe, but it's spelled St. John Smith.
That's dumb.
He uses it in like, I think 3 movies. I think he uses it in the Christopher Walken one. But it's just weird because every other time it's like James Bond. I'm like, "Oh fuck, I was supposed to say the other name." Oh well.
Right? No, but I feel like that's what it like. They don't have. We got to go back to like Reservoir Dogs. Everyone
Yeah.
gets a color, right?
Mr.
Like
Blue, Mr. Pink.
When you jump into this, like they don't have any code names predetermined.
Larry! No,
Right, yeah.
don't tell me. I don't want to know your I love Mr. Pink. I don't want to know your fucking name.
Right? Like that's what we and no, like Luther just comes in shouting out Ethan. Ethan like walks up to ladies and he's like, "Hey, my name's Ethan. Have I told you I'm a spy?" Just it's amazing that his wife doesn't know more.
Yeah, me at the spy business. I mean, Department of Transportation.
Duh.
Yeah, so they take him into custody. And then in the car, they find out that the microdot or whatever was figured out.
Yes.
And they find out that Ferris sent a message saying that Brazel was the one who sent her on this and fed her the information. And she believes that he is a mole within the IMF.
Yes.
And they're like, "Oh no, that's the message she wanted to get out to me. We have a mole."
Too late.
And then rockets just hit the bridge that they're on. Davian is so important to terrorists that they will launch this attack in broad daylight. With drones and helicopters.
Yes.
They even have steel melting fluid that they shoot on the truck.
Yes, to like make it like
Yeah.
oh, God.
Yeah, so they're going all out for this
There is
escape.
But you know what? To be fair, if he's like your hookup,
Yeah.
like you can't do your cool terrorist job without his cool weapons, right?
Yes.
So like that makes sense.
Yes.
You gotta like go help him out, right? Or your
Yes,
supplies.
'cause in this universe, we know of one other arms dealer, and that was Max from the first movie. And we haven't heard from her at all. You meet her daughter eventually, though. But I guess she's working for maybe like she sold too many arms, and then people got arrested, and they're like, "I don't think she's on the level."
He's not, you know.
This Davian guy, we do pretty well with him.
So he's got his own like little entourage of like
Yeah.
very well armed people. So that's fair.
So yeah, they go all out to save him.
Yes.
Ethan goes to a truck that's overturned to get like a big gun to shoot at the drone. He has to like assemble it and everything. But when he's running for the case, this shot was used in all the trailers where the drone blows up the truck and it like launches him into the car.
I love that. Like that's how explosions work. In movies. You don't get burnt. You don't get like internal bleeding.
Well, that was what you call it? Hurt Locker did it the best. Where like he's very far from the explosion, but the shockwave shatters his inside.
Yes,
spits up
like
blood.
like I just feel like
It depends on what kind of movie you're making. This is fine.
I mean, Hurt Locker's a very different.
Yeah, Hurt Locker is supposed to
movie
be
than
more
this.
realistic, so you kind of like, all right,
Like-
that's where the shockwave will kill you. Every other
Yes.
movie, like, oh, it just pushes you.
It
to
just
safety.
pushes you, and you get to like go on like a little ride.
That's like in a like superhero sci-fi stuff where they're all wearing armor and falling. I'm like, you would just be soup inside that armor.
Right,
like it's not going to
doesn't-
protect you that much.
Well, they fell on the van earlier in this movie, so
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
very cushioned.
Where are we at here? Okay, yeah. So he uses the gun to shoot down the drone, but they get away in the helicopter. Ethan is pissed, and then he gets a call. He calls his house, and Aaron Paul's there.
Yes.
And he's just like, hey, some British guy came looking for Julia, but don't worry. I told him that she's at the hospital. And he's just like, oh, you fucking stoner. Why did you do that?
I think this is just like a good rule of thumb in real life too.
Yeah.
Not just in movies. When someone you've never met comes calling for someone, like, don't give out their information. Don't send that. Like, don't be like, here's their address or their phone number or where they
Depends who
work.
it is.
So, do you want your college following you to every house you ever live in? Because
that
they
happens?
call up. That happens. Yeah, they like call up and they say, "Hey, we want some donations." And then your mom goes, "Oh, he doesn't live here anymore.
Oh,
Here's his new address." And now it follows you for 20 years. So no matter who is asking, do not tell them where I am. That is my rule.
Oh, yeah. Temple University years back, they hit me up for like an alumni thing.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking, Tony, didn't you not graduate? That's why I was also confused that I got this alumni thing. I'm like, I didn't graduate. I just did my film courses and dropped out. Like
And then
a cool
you're just
guy.
like, yeah, obviously.
Because I was in my fight club at the time. That's why I keep breaking this nose over and over again.
Classic Fight Club.
But yeah, they were like, yeah, we're going to send some students out
Some
to come to your
people
work.
house.
To like come to my work and so they can learn from an alumni. I'm like, this is really funny. So I'm like, yeah, send them. And then the people never showed up.
I wonder why.
Those students
Were
are
they-
not going to graduate. I should know. But I love that they emailed me. I was like, yeah, send them over.
Right.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll teach them. I'll show them the ropes. So yeah, he now knows they're coming after Julia.
Yeah. At the hospital.
And Julia is at the hospital and the creepy man like touches her with something.
yeah.
And she's like, what's that? Oh, and she like immediately falls
Classic.
asleep. I love this scene because it's very tense. He's like running in the hospital looking for her.
Yes.
He runs right past her.
Right. I know. That is actually a moment that's kind of fun.
He like bumps into the stretcher. He's like, oh, sorry.
Sorry,
And
and
then
just
just
keeps
keeps going. Can't find her. And then I think he gets a call from Davian.
Yes.
When he's outside. He's like, hey, look, we have her. 48 hours. The case that you took from me will give you the location of the rabbit's foot. You have 48 hours
Yes.
to get it to me or she dies.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, 48 hours. But then IMF shows up. And he tries to make a run for it, but they shoot him with a dart. And he just gets knocked out.
Oh. He
Then they
couldn't,
have
like,
him.
parkour his way around that dart.
Wait, so he wakes up and they have him tied up like Hannibal Lecter because they know he can get out of anything. So he's like
Anything.
super tied up. So he can't talk to Brazel, who he thinks is a traitor.
Right.
And Brazel's just like, you know what makes me lose sleep? And I love my sleep. So he's like intimidating him. And I
Yeah.
love that line where he's like, I will bleed on the flag to make sure the color stays red.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he does the
He loves America, that
Like-
guy.
ends justifies the means.
Yeah,
right?
he's one of
We've
those
got-
guys. And then Musgrave, this is a fun callback.
Ooh.
He's just like, look at me when I'm disappointed. Look at me when I talk to you. Look at me. And then he
Right.
looks at him and he starts doing the lip,
Yeah.
lip reading where he's giving him the real information. Like, your team is in Shanghai. They do the blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you suck, Ethan, you piece of shit. You should go here. Blah, 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 blah. And then he gives him a thing to break out.
Yes.
Which, by the way, if I'm Brazel, I'll be like, well, you gave it to him.
I mean, it's kind of like obvious.
It's like, no, we patted him down. He had nothing to break out of it. You clearly gave him something.
It's like a magic trick. Where
Really, Ethan should be naked. If they were this
Right?
concerned about him, he should be full on naked. Because they're like, no, check everything.
I mean, we've
Get a
gone
metal
back to,
detector.
you know what? Where spies keep things.
Get a
now.
metal detector up his ass. Make sure there's nothing up there.
No, I'm just envisioning, like, you know, when you do like the Houdini act and like, oh, for good luck, my assistant has to kiss me and she's definitely not slipping a key into my mouth. You know, like one of those moments.
I'd be the guy in the audience, be like, if you're really cool, you wouldn't need the good luck kiss. He's like, oh, shit. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. you coward. And then I get the whole crowd to be like, don't kiss. And then that's how Houdini died. And he's like sneaking out of IMF, which I guess is really hard to do.
I would think it would be, though.
Huh?
Wouldn't it? Will it be hard to break in?
It'd probably be hard to break in, but
like,
also break out, especially when you're Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
And everyone knows you should be imprisoned. So yeah, he exits through the Department of Transportation. That really is their cover.
They're like, no, they're committed to it.
And I love that they're on the walkie-talkie hunting him down, and he like puts it on a speaker when they play "We Are Family."
Yes.
He ends up in Shanghai, and then they find out that there's this lab in a super secure building, and I go, wait a minute, we just saw this one movie ago. It's literally like, there's a big lab.
Yes.
It's in this building. We got to go in through the top. And I'm like, we just did this. Like, I know he has to break into something every single time.
Yes. But like the top is like the hardest way to break into a building, right?
Yeah, but this like specific, I know he does it a different way. I'm like, this is a little too close to the last one. A evil device in a lab building. Right. I'm like, you couldn't switch it up a little bit?
I just also, I agree. And again, I just think like of all the, like, didn't come in from underneath. You didn't like.
Yeah. And even like the next movie does have a tower scene, but like that isn't, their plan wasn't to break. Like that is because everything goes horribly wrong.
Okay, there
that
you
he
go.
ends up climbing that tower. That was not their initial plan.
Maybe that's how the bad guy in the last movie knew what his plan was, because he's like, God damn it, Ethan's go-to is the
He's
roof.
always going through the roof. So they realize that roof is too heavily armed.
Yes.
But he's like, well, the next roof, I could swing. If I swing off a thing and hit a thing at this time, I can land on the roof. So they think it's like super impossible. He's like, it's possible. It'll work. And I don't have a choice.
Yes.
I have to do it.
Yes. And you got to like time it. And then also, did they not understand the name of this force?
The Impossible Mission Force.
Have we not like addressed that real quick? That like, this makes sense. In 1960 TV land, right? Is that he works for the Impossible Mission Force on Mission Impossible. But it's a little on the nose.
What's the real life one? The International Monetary Fund or whatever?
Oh,
there's a real life IMF.
Is,
the newest movie
not...
makes a joke about it because it's still secret. They're like IMF. They're like, the what? They're like, no, this is a different IMF. You're like, we never told you about this. There's this other organization. Right. But yeah, everyone should be like, this is kind of our deal.
Like, if they're like, oh, this is an easy mission, then you're like, you shouldn't send it to the Impossible Mission Force. That goes to the FBI. This one is only insane ideas.
Yeah. So yeah, he does the swing. They distract the guards with baseballs.
Oh, yes.
Like, or baseballs or golf balls or something at them. But yeah, he swings and then he slides down the building and like he's hitting them all with the trangs. But yeah, he's able to get in. I like Luther be like, he made it. He's like, I knew he'd make it. It's like, no, you've been saying he's going to die this whole time.
He's like, it's Tom Cruise. He'll make it.
So I like the twist that we don't see what happens inside the building.
Yes.
Instead, way late into this movie, they decide to give Zen just like a little bit of character development.
They forgot about it and they're like, oh shit, we
She's
just
been girl who cuts power and blows up things and drives a boat maybe. But no, she's just like, oh, I'm doing this prayer that I did whenever I would look for my cat. And he's like, can you teach me that prayer, Declan? I was like, is there a romance here?
Right.
And then that gets interrupted because Tom Cruise literally is like, change of plans, I can't escape. They're like, where are you going to go? He's like, look up. And he just jumps out the window with his parachute. And she's like, oh my God, that's not high enough. And then he does a Bruce Willis. He lands in a lower window.
Yes.
And for some reason doesn't cut the chute right then and there because then the chute pulls him
out.
But he's got the rabbit's foot. He lands on the ground. A truck comes. He's able to cut the parachute, but like the rabbit's foot slides. And again, they don't know what's in it.
Right. So you don't know. Is this like something that's going to explode? Do we have like some, what's...
As of right now, we don't know.
So I would just be like gentle with it. Yes. What I'm saying. You don't know if this is
because it's like in a big glass case with a red case that has like some kind of warning on it.
So there's some things that like you shake it too much and it explodes.
Yes. So yeah, it's a very tense scene. They get into a car. They're racing away. Another car is chasing them all throughout.
Of course, we need a car chase.
Yeah. What's her face gets shot. So she's down, and then what's it called? Ethan Hunt hangs out the side to shoot one tire that makes this car crash into a truck and flip
over.
It's pretty awesome. pretty awesome. So then he calls Davian with 5 seconds left. He had 5 seconds left into the mission. And he's just like, I got the thing. He's like, all right, meet me at a train yard. And then he also calls Musgrave. And he's just like, hey, the rabbit's foot is tagged with the tracker. You have to do this. And by the way, Brazel's in on it. And I like Brazel walks in. He's like, Musgrave, are you up to something? He's like, no, this other terrorist. We got intel that he's in Shanghai. He's like, I would love to see that intel on my desk. So he's probably like photoshopping fake things
like,
real quick. He's like, sure, no problem.
Just take some old briefs from something else.
It's an email. I'm the bad guy and I'm in Shanghai. See, can't fake it. He's like, you're right. You can't fake that.
If it's on the internet, it must be true.
It must be true. He meets up with Davian. And they tell him, like, you have to drink this knockout drug.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not moving until you drink it. So he drinks it and he wakes up in the chair. And now we're back to the beginning of the movie with the whole counting down.
Yes.
Where he's just like 10, 9. But in this, we get a little brief insert of Ethan's team getting off the plane and like all of IMF is there to arrest them.
Yes. They're like, no.
He's like, I gotta really talk to you guys. So we see them kill Julia.
10.
And he's like distraught and they leave him there and he's just like devastated. She's just sitting there with a hole in her head. And then Musgrave comes out. And it turns out he was the traitor.
Oh, snap.
And he reveals that it wasn't Julia. It was the doctor lady from Saw 3.
See?
She got 1 bullet in her head in this movie. And in Saw 3, she wore a collar full of shotgun shells. And her whole head got blown up.
See, that's art right there.
Because her husband killed Jigsaw. All he had to do was just not kill Jigsaw and he would have been fine.
I mean, look, Jigsaw picks people who deserve to learn a lesson, okay?
Okay, no, as the movies go on, we're like, okay, yeah, that guy was a problem, but you went a little too far.
Maybe not this problematic.
There was some where I'm just like, Jigsaw, addiction's like really hard to beat.
Right, yeah, you're like, maybe this is insensitive.
But yeah, I thought it was funny that I'm watching her in 2 movies where she gets bullets in her head.
Aww.
But she failed him. She was like the head of his security. So
so he had to kill.
She failed him.
And got to do the great. And see, this is like the exact same thing that happened in Mission Impossible 2.
A little
with
bit,
the
yeah. With
we
Hugh
fake
the
fake death of the person with the mask.
Yeah. And then Musgrave is like, look, I am the traitor. Did she tell you anything about me? Did she name me as the bad guy?
Yeah.
He's the one that gave her intel that it was Brazel, but he really wants to make sure
that it's not.
He's like, Ethan, and he says, like, we wanted to make sure you actually gave us the rabbit foot, which is why we did this. He's like, we just had to make sure that it was the real rabbit's foot. And based on your reaction, now you don't know what it is.
Right.
But he tells him, like, look, she's still alive. She hasn't seen any of us, so she could still get out of this. But you have to let me know what Ferris told you.
Yes.
I like Ethan's just like, I'm not going to say a thing until I hear her voice. So he's like, okay, and he should know better.
Right?
He's like, here's the phone right here. And he just bites his hand and he gets out of the whole thing. It's like, of course he did.
Level of like, I'm, you have me captive, but could I just use the bathroom real quick?
Yeah.
Like, it's very.
And the whole thing is like, his plan is that he wants to use Davian to trap other terrorists. He wants to create some terror to gain a bunch of terrorist trust, I think. And then he wants to use IMF to take them all down.
Yeah.
Because he's like, if you kill Davian, 2 other ones pop up the next day to take his place. We're going to use him. It's like, okay, buddy.
We got that convoluted IMF thinking right there.
Yes. He bites him, gets out.
Yes.
He calls Benji. And Benji's like, I should not be talking to you. This is a problem. And he's like, no, Benji, you gotta let me know where she is. And he's like, oh, you're in Shanghai? Shit. So he tells her where Julie is.
Yeah.
And then we get just extended shots of Tom Cruise running through Shanghai. Which
it's actually like kind of fun though.
It is, but I'm looking at him like, oh man, that would exhaust me.
I just find it's a very beautiful, just like, I don't know, we don't get in movies anymore, like set deck. Do you like we don't get like that, like set production of like having these beautiful like outside scenes and everything's just like CGI on like a green screen and it's just like, here's a background. And
or they build like 3 things, the green screen, which is
Yeah.
fine if you're doing like an alien planet or something like that. But like when it's like a market, and you're like,
right, like you can tell, like, no, they shot in Shanghai, like they're running through. You're getting like that texture, so I'd like
No.
Silly, but I like that. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
I
There's
like
something
it.
about it that was like, oh, this is actually like watching it nowadays is
Yeah.
like a little refreshing. Of
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
this isn't just him
But
running.
it is
on
funny going back to like older movies and be like, these were really bad at the time, but compared to some of the stuff we're getting now,
right? I mean,
I'm like, it is kind
of
of refreshing to at least see that they were on a set.
right. Yeah, exactly. That it's not just someone on a treadmill.
Yeah. Yeah. So he gets to Julia.
Mm-hmm.
He kills the guards, but Davian is there, and apparently he really did have a charge in his head, and it starts to go off, and he's just like, you probably got 4 minutes. Davian kicks the shit out of him when really he should just shoot him.
Yet again, we come to this problem of, I think I like movies that are set / made in other countries where like no one has guns in that country because you get that, like, like a lot of like the British, like we were saying that
we were
with
talking about that. It raises
Shaun
the
of the
stakes a
Dead.
little bit.
It's like it makes sense on like why someone doesn't just whip out a gun and shoot someone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's like that.
I mean, the bad
plausible-
guys have guns, but he's
but like okay, like you can't, like the good guy can't just like
just
you're
walk
like,
up and blow his
right.
brains.
You're
Yeah.
like okay, you have to do the improvised weapons.
Like he has to wrestle a gun
and you
from
have to,
someone.
right. Like
Yeah.
it just gives you that more fun
I
moments versus
think
like here you're just like why aren't
He
you?
ends up, I don't even know if he ever picks up a gun. I think he holds guns, but I don't know if he really shoots that much in the next few. There's other people who do.
Yes,
Rebecca
well.
Ferguson's like a sniper.
Ooh.
But yeah, he doesn't use too much guns, I think, going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets the shit kicked out of him by Davian, who is probably just a little bitter that he got hung out of an airplane. He
Yeah.
brings it up a lot. He's like the plane? He's like, all right, buddy. Oh, I got hung out of an airplane. Get the fuck
Okay,
over
if that
it.
wasn't so like you could have died, that would have been a really fun thing to do, right? Like that's like a little daredevil-y. Like that's I feel like Tom Cruise was like, could I do this stunt for Philip
Which-
Seymour Hoffman?
Which he then does hang on the side of a plane 2 movies later. So yeah, Davian isn't really thinking rationally. He should just shoot
he's
him.
just upset.
But then the power of love makes Ethan ignore the charge in his head and makes him punch more gooder. And he punches him so good that they fall out like a window or something, and then a truck just slams into Davian. I think his shoe goes flopping afterward.
Is this like, this feels a little bit of like Hays Cody where like like the good guys can't really kill someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and the bad guys have to be punished and the good guys can't really be the one who's punishing them, right? Like he's like,
Yeah. But I mean, the previous movies, he just... Like,
I know he did just
he fucking just blew them up.
He really did. He just like...
Funny thing is, he probably could have just let that helicopter go and it would have blown up anyway, but he
Right?
really insisted
He's
he
like,
blow that
I
helicopter
need
up.
this.
And then
yeah,
the
so
second
it's-
one, he just shot the guy over and over and over again.
all like so many times. But yeah, in this one, it feels like a little bit more like...
You're right, because he doesn't kill the bad guy in the next one. I won't
Ooh.
spoil it. Or the next 2 after that. And then the last one, it's a part 1, so obviously he doesn't kill the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
But
But like that, like Disney
yeah, you're right. I
movies
guess
do that
after
a lot
2.
too, right?
Yeah, where
like,
something else has to kill
something
them.
happens where they're like
They do that a lot
fighting-
in like Batman comics to get around
Yes,
his no
yeah.
killing rule. Which,
Right.
the Hays Code, that makes sense.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, it's a fun way. to
No, yeah, I'm
write
not
someone
like
off.
knocking it. It's just like
Yeah.
observation.
But yeah, he gets the power of love to do that.
Yep.
And then he tells her, like, hey, look, I'm going to have to electrocute myself.
Good thing she's a nurse.
Yeah, you're a nurse. You'll be able to bring me back. And
This is like 100% why her character is a nurse, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just for this last scene.
yeah. And then he's like, oh, by the way, here's how you use a gun. You hit this button and that button and don't shoot until you can really see them. And hopefully no mercenaries come. All right. And then I look and he goes, oh, wait, one quick question. Or he's like, 1 second. I love you. Okay. He like dies.
Yeah,
And then, of course, a bad guy comes in.
of course.
And she's...
But he's been training people for a while now. So like
he trained her
he's
for 5 seconds.
I
They make
think-
a point to say she got lucky.
yes.
If this were a movie today, she would just know how to do it in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it would be awesome. And we'd all have to clap. And then a million guys who look like me on YouTube would bitch about it. But they make a point to show that, like, she sees the guy's reflection, so she gets the one up on him.
Yes, yeah.
Which I'm like, all right, that's a way to write around
Right.
it.
Sometimes you do just like one little extra note about it makes it like, okay, cool, you thought about it. That's
You
all
just
I
do what they
wanted.
did in True Lies. Jamie Lee Curtis drops the gun and then accidentally kills everyone. You can just do that too. You could. But yeah, she kills the one henchman and then she kills Musgrave, who then drops the rabbit's foot that we don't know what it is and rolls out. Yeah, and she's able to shock him back to life. And I love as soon as he comes back to life, he goes back to work mode. He just picks up the gun. And he's like,
There is.
and I like that he looks at the bodies. He's like, did you do that? She's like, yeah. He's like, okay.
I just like it's like, I don't know, even with a computer, I was going to say like turning a computer on, it takes a minute to reboot.
No, he's up. He's like, ah! The power of love wins again. They walk away with the rabbit's foot, and he confesses that he doesn't actually work at the Department of Transportation. And I love that he's just like, it's called the Impossible Mission Force. He's like, oh, come on.
Right, yeah,
So Brazel apologizes to Hunt, and he lets him know that Washington offered him a job. We never know what the job is. But he just wants to enjoy his honeymoon. He just wants to get married and enjoy his honeymoon. And then, Hunt asks, what was the rabbit's foot? Brazel says, yeah, if you stay, I'll tell you. And he's like, all right, I'll write you a postcard. So we never learn what the rabbit's foot is. And we were never meant to learn it, I think.
No.
However.
What?
I don't know if this is just a misleading thing they're putting in the new trailers. But the trailer for Final Reckoning, they're making it seem like it's his last one, which age finally caught up to Tom Cruise. It should be. Now it's, he got real lucky way later than he should have, but now it's like, I'm starting to see it. Let's walk this back a little bit. The trailer has a couple callbacks to the original where he's like, this one's stupid. He's holding a knife that looks like the knife he almost dropped in the first one, but they show shots of the rabbits.
That's exciting.
But I'm just like, and they look like new shots of the rabbit foot.
Ooh,
I have to study the trailer. They look like they're new. So I'm just like, wait, because I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a thing they need to stop in the new movie.
Yes, okay.
And I wonder if they're like, hey, let's say the rabbit's foot can stop it.
I mean, yeah, why not? It can do anything we want it to do.
Yeah, and then people have been asking for years, and people kind of hate J.J. Abrams' mystery box now. So this is a good point to be like, hey, you know what? We're going to finally tell you what this was.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it's not answered in the movie, then it's not, there is no.
I mean, I don't care about learning what it is. I'm fine with some vague stuff and not being answered.
Yeah, me too.
The problem is he tried it with Star Wars. He can't do it in Star Wars.
I think it's like annoying when it's the same person who always does it and everything. Like, right? Like a Shyamalan twist is only good like the first time.
It's annoying when he has a track record of when he finally has to deliver on it. It's disappointing. And then it's like, oh. It's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Which I think that was nice about his Star Treks. They didn't really have mystery boxes in them like that. So yeah, the rabbit's foot might come back in the new one, or maybe it was just a thing they put in the trailer to hype us up for no reason. But yes, Mission Impossible 3.
Well, what number would, if we were numbering them still, what would the Final Reckoning be number-wise?
Final Reckoning, hold on. 3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, Final Reckoning. So that would be the 8th.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
4 more to watch before that one comes out.
Yes. Luckily, when we do that one, it'll be all 4 of those condensed. We won't go in as much detail. However, the reason I wanted to do these one at a time is because, 1, I really love 2, but 4 is really good. Ooh. And I feel like you're really going to love 4.
I'm excited.
So I have a lot to say about 4. I like the Christopher McQuarrie ones. Mm-hmm. Fallout is really good. But I can condense my feelings into those.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mission Impossible 3, I don't know why it doesn't stick with us too much.
Right? Do you know what I mean?
Because there's nothing technically wrong with it.
No, there really isn't. It's like technically a better movie than 2.
Yeah.
But I definitely we watched them on the commentary and then I rewatched them for this, and it was like, 2 was like, yep, I remember this, and then 3 was like,
I don't know why it is.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it feels he was more into TV at that time. Maybe it just does feel like an extended TV episode where you kind of forget about it unless there was like a big revelation.
I mean, Gran Torino, was that the the Breaking Bad movie?
No, that's El Camino. Gran
El
Torino
Camino,
is,
wrong
Clint
one. I'm
Eastwood,
sorry. El Camino that was in a movie. It just felt like a
Yeah, that
really
was-
long episode
that
of
was
Breaking
stupid.
Bad.
That was stupid. And then what's his face gained so much weight.
Oh my God, he did.
So when you watch it,
Poor
If you were
man's
to-
Matt Damon.
if you were to put that where it is chronologically,
Right.
it's like, wow, he was real bloated for that month. But don't worry,
Don't
he
worry
worked it
about
all
it.
off by the end.
But yeah, it really felt, so this kind of, it doesn't feel quite like just a TV episode, but it does.
I mean, it feels the most like the TV show.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. As of this point.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of people said it brought Mission Impossible back. It did well. I think it was like the 6th highest grossing film of that year.
Okay.
But this is like when blockbusters were getting like really big. Well, it came out in 2006.
2006. What else came out that year?
There was Superman Returns, X-Men 3. There was what were some other big 2006 movies? Skinwalkers. I don't think that was one of the big ones. Okay, they're just giving me any movie that came out. Hold on. A popular 2006
There we
movie.
go.
Da Vinci Code.
Okay.
Accepted. Apocalypto. Poseidon.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what the hell that is. Night at the Museum. Casino Royale. So this did come out the year of a James Bond.
Yes.
Although I think this came out. This was like a summer film. I think Casino Royale was like around December.
Okay. Was that like the first of
The first Daniel Craig one.
Okay.
Yeah, Babel, The Prestige. Yeah, there was some big stuff.
Yeah, we had some.
Marie Antoinette, The
Oh.
Fountain. Oh yeah, that was The Prestige versus The Illusionist.
The Illusionist,
Yeah,
yes.
that was that year. Oh, everyone, there's one guy who keeps telling me to review this movie, Stay Alive. Have you ever heard of it? It's a 2006 movie.
Okay.
It's about like a haunted video game, and I think Frankie Muniz has a part in it.
What? I have not.
Maybe
seen
I'll
this.
do Stay Alive. I'm looking other than the two ones I previously mentioned. Oh, the Hills of Eyes remake, which I reviewed on
Okay.
this channel. Yes,
There
that
you
came
go.
out 2006. Really good movie. Like it better than the original.
Oh,
But yes,
so we had a
Mission
couple good-
Impossible 3. It's a good time, even if it isn't that memorable. But yes, J.J. Abrams saved Mission Impossible. They really did get better after
They
this.
did, yeah,
Even
okay,
if this
that's
one's
what-
just like whatever, they
I
got
feel
a
like
lot
they
better.
had to though, because otherwise, why would they keep making them? Because I feel
Yeah.
like 3 is a pretty good time to like when people give up.
Yeah, and I
Right?
think I talked about this on someone else's show. The funniest thing about this is like, you know how Hollywood goes through trends.
Yes. Oh yes.
It's funny, like you have to remember, like the first one came out mid-90s during the remake old TV shows trend.
Yes.
And that kind of died. Once in a while it'll come back, but it was big in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this
Yeah.
is the only one that survived and is still going.
hate-
It transcends the TV show. It is
That's
its
it.
own
Yeah,
thing.
it kind of it definitely turns into its own thing, and
Yeah.
it has its own genre. Like the
Yeah.
genre isn't just being an old TV show, which I
Yes.
feel like a lot of the other ones were.
Yeah, where they're like, and again, the first one was good at that, like making fun of some of this
Yes.
stuff, but taking it seriously. But yeah, what are some of the other ones we've covered? I know we did the Addams Families.
Oh
Well,
yes.
the girls did Charlie's Angels. I didn't, but I did do Lost in Space, the 90s Lost in
Oh,
Space.
I saw that one.
Talk about a movie I really like that it's not aged well at all.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't seen it since I went to theaters and saw it with my family.
Yeah. If it didn't stick with you, don't revisit it.
Oh no.
But yes, that is it from us. We will be back with Ghost Protocol at some point in the future and
Yes.
commentary tracks. We still plan to do commentary tracks for all of them
Absolutely.
because we just love Mission Impossible and not because I'm going to sell it as an album on Patreon afterwards. Angela,
Yes.
if I was making an IMF thing or if I was doing a Mission Impossible movie
Yes.
and I needed a place that looked like a small production studio that was convenient for podcasting and other things.
Yeah.
Where should I go for that?
I would say go to Angela Wolf Video.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That is that's the perfect place. It's already built.
It is.
I don't have
it's
to build
there.
anything.
No, you just show up and
It's
we've
just
got
right
a place for
there.
you.
But yes, check out Angela Wolf Video. Book them there. It's a great place. I've used it a couple times.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. And like, share, subscribe, join Patreon. Oh, book me on Cameo. Cameo.com/Tony Peluso.
That's
I'll do
like a
your
great
own
gift.
your mission should you choose to accept it. That'd be a fun one.
Oh my gosh. Please.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.